So we are now into the knockout stages of the new Champions League format this year, and I think it's been a massive improvement, but I think it could be better, and I'm going to explain how in this video. But first, let's have a look at why I think it's better. So I'm going to start with the positives. The first positive is that there's more games. This is something obviously UEFA wanted, more money, but also just more games in general of higher tier football is always something I'd welcome. And there's also more games versus different teams. Now in the past system where you had the groups of 4, you only played 3 teams obviously in a round robin. But now you play 8 different teams, so it's more different teams that you see your team play up against, which I think is a positive. And I do prefer the league system with all the teams in it rather than the individual groups. I think it's much more entertaining. There's many more scenarios where different games have impact on other games. I just think it's much more interesting. And I also really like the idea of the last day and all the games we played at the same time, just like in the league, when you've got results happening all over the place. It's very hectic. It's fun to keep up to date with all the scores and that on the last day. And when it comes to negatives, I can only really think of one, and that's that you don't get a second leg. So obviously you can play a team home and you won't play them away, which you would in the league and in the last format. So for example, I'm an Arsenal fan, and in this season we played Inter Milan away, which we lost, and I would have liked to have the home leg just to see how it would have gone at home, but I can give that up for everything else we got in the positives. Could it be better? Yes, I definitely think it could be better, and there's a few steps to why I think it could be better. So the first thing I'd do is I would cut the 9 to 24 playoff games, and I would have 1 to 16 qualify automatically. If you look at the table this season, it wouldn't have actually made that much difference on the last day of what teams could have fought for. There's a very similar amount of teams that would have been battling for 24th as you would have battling for 16th if you was to do it this year from the game 7 to game 8. Because I think some people would argue that if you didn't do it like this, then by the end of the league, you'd have a lot of teams in the bottom who wouldn't have anything to play for after game 6, game 5. But I had a look at myself, and it didn't really work out that way. Only 2 or 3 teams would have had nothing to play for compared to this season if you did it from 16 instead of cutting off at 24. And these 16 teams would be traditionally seeded into a group, so first place 16, second place 15, etc, etc. And the biggest change, I would do double elimination. Now, a lot of people wouldn't really know what double elimination is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bracket up with the teams that qualified into the final 16 and run an example through just to show you why I think it would be better. Okay, so here in front of me we have the current bracket set up and the current teams placed in where they are in the actual Champions League knockout stages. And as you can see, single elimination. We have round 1, quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals. This is the setup we're all used to. And I want to show you now what double elimination looks like. So it's identical here, but then all of this and this is added. So you would have more games, a lot more games, as obviously these would be double-leg fixtures. And to compensate for that, you're taking out the games, the 16 games played in the group stage. This will be more than 16 games added on, but that's the only downside. It'll be a decent few more games, but let me just show you how it works. I've seeded the teams 1 to 16 from where they finished in the table, and this is how they would set up if you did 1 versus 16, 2 v 15, 3 versus 14, 4 versus 13, etc. So you just seed top to bottom and then work your way to the middle, pretty much. And the whole point of double elimination is you have 2 lives, pretty much. So the whole point is if you get favourites that meet earlier on in the competition, they can go into a lower bracket and have a chance to come back and make their way back to the final. It means they will have a harder run and have to play more games, but it means throughout the tournament you get much more exciting matchups and you see the top teams face each other a lot more, and you have just chances for so much more unique storylines and cool matches to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict the scores for these games, but just do it kind of randomly. I'm going to pick the favourite, the perceived favourite to win about 70% of the time, and just literally play the bracket out and then afterwards talk about it. So as you can see, the order of the games are here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These obviously will be played first. So you have the winners round 1, and then you drop to the losers side and have the losers round 1. And then the winners quarterfinal, and the losers quarterfinal. Then winners semi-final, losers semi-final, but then you play this losers round 4 first, and then you get the winners final out of these 2, and they will face the winner. The loser will face the winner of this here, to go on and face the loser of this, loser of 27, and then the winner here and the winner here will play each other in the final. It might seem a bit complicated, but let me run you through it. So I'm just going to put in some random scores. So let's go. I'm not even going to put the scores in. It's going to be if they win or not. So Villa, let's go Bayern, Inter, Arsenal. Let's say Leverkusen upset Real Madrid and Dortmund lose to Lille. And this is quite an even one actually. We'll do Barcelona to win. Okay, so now you see these teams going to the next round. Just like usual, this looks normal, right? But the teams that lost here come down to here. So now you get Benfica versus Atalanta. Let's go for Benfica win. And if you lose here, you're knocked out. If you lose twice. So, and Atalanta lost here. Atalanta lost here. They'll be out of the tournament. So let's go here. Let's say Atletico win. Let's say Real Madrid win. And PSG. Okay, so these are through to the losers round 2. And now we play the winners quarterfinals. So the winners go here. And the losers will drop down to face the winners of losers round 1. So let's say Liverpool win, Bayern win, sure, Leverkusen win, and Barcelona win. So now you have the semi-finals in the top bracket of Liverpool versus Bayern and Leverkusen versus Barcelona. Now we drop down to the losers round 2 bracket. So let's say Lille win, Atletico Madrid win, Real Madrid and PSG. So now we come back up here, we play these 2 games, say Liverpool and Barcelona. And they go into here to face the losers of these games. The winners of these games, sorry. So let's say Atletico Madrid win. And then we have Real Madrid winning here. That means PSG and Lille will be eliminated. And we play these 2 games. So Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid. And then we have here the winners finals. Let's say Liverpool win. Now Barcelona will come down to here. So to play this game, and the winner of this game will go on to play Barcelona for a chance to place Liverpool in the final. So let's say Real Madrid win. Now you got Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Let's say Real Madrid win again. And the final game, which will be Real Madrid, who have made this run all the way through the lower bracket because they lost their first game. And let's say they win the whole thing. So that might be a bit confusing, but I try to go game by game. I try to follow the number here in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. And just having a look at this bracket, obviously, imagine if this was all we had. Now, look at all these extra matchups we have here. We wouldn't have got all these PSG games, all these Real Madrid games, Real Madrid, PSG, Leverkusen. We've got a Madrid derby, El Clasico here, to see who plays in the final after Liverpool beat Barcelona. And yeah, just I think the amount of storylines and the amount of games you have here, and just as an entertainment product, I think this would be so much better. I'd rather see the games, the bulk of games that get put here. If they want to put extra games in, put them here instead of in the group stage against teams where no one really cares. Well, not no one really cares, but it's not the highest level of football and not as many people care. More neutrals will watch this. Obviously, the bigger teams will get more money, but that just incentivizes you to actually perform in the group stage. It makes the group stage even more important, because if you get into here, you're going to at least get 2 games. 4 games if they're double legged, which there will be. And these would be your 16 games that you lost in the group stage, and then an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, doubled 14. So you play 14 more games than the current, which I think is like 180 something. So this would push it just over 200 games, which by a percentage is an extra like 5% of games. It isn't massive if you look at what you're doing already. And front ending the amount of games instead of putting them at the back end of the competition, I think just makes so much more sense. I mean, look at how many games we have here between higher teams and top level teams, and then look at this format. It's so sparse, but you have all the extra games beforehand in the group stage. Whereas here, you get just so many games between good teams. I mean, look at this. This could be like a Champions League bracket by himself if you looked at this. and all these teams here. And the lower losers bracket gives the opportunity for teams to have kind of miracle runs. So let's say you get here, for example, like here ends up being Barcelona versus Real Madrid, right? And Barcelona lose. Barcelona could drop down to here and then have like a redemption arc all the way to the final, where they come back to face Real Madrid, and Real Madrid can only play 4 games. Let's say Real Madrid won all of their games. Let's see how Liverpool won 1, 2, 3, 4 before the final. And if you lost instantly, let's follow Madrid because they lost instantly. Madrid were here, so they played 1 game here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then play the final. So they played 3 more games before the final. So that's kind of the downside to going to the lower bracket. You would have to play more games, but that's your punishment for not winning your matches. So I know some people would say, oh, it's bullshit. You come down to the lower bracket and then just win the whole thing, because if a team wins every game and then loses the grand final, they're out the competition, even though they've only lost 1 game, which would be as much as someone from the lower bracket. But yeah, I haven't made my case clear on why I think this would be just so much better as far as an entertainment product. It would be hard to fit the games in, I understand that, but what they're looking for is more games anyway, and I'd rather see more games here like this. If you look at the bracket, this is the matches we actually have. Just going to run a quick prediction through. I think Arsenal win. I think Real Madrid win that comfortably. I think it's got to be Liverpool and Aston Villa. I see Benfica winning this. If you remember the group stage, they had a really controversial game where there was a penalty disallowed in the last minute, then Rafinha goes up the other end and scores. I think Benfica would have a bit between their teeth, and don't be surprised if they win. Lille versus Dortmund. Neither are having a good season. I mean, you can flip a coin. I've got Dortmund. Leverkusen versus Bayern. I think Leverkusen win this. Bayern don't seem too convincing. Just from watching them, I think they're a really boring team, and I like the look of Leverkusen. Feyenoord versus Inter. I think Inter's just too good for Feyenoord. And this is where Arsenal lose, so I pick Real Madrid to win. Here, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Liverpool go through. Dortmund beat Benfica, and Inter win as well. And then I think Liverpool beat Madrid, Inter beat Dortmund, and Liverpool win the final. Liverpool win. This is my prediction for the final. But you can see here, there's a lot less games between the better teams. As to here, so many more games between high-level teams, and it's just not as exciting. There's not as many storylines, and I think double elimination, it would be hard to get your head around if you've never seen a bracket like this before. But I think with some understanding, if you pay attention to it, it's not that bad to pick up, and I think it would make the Champions League much more entertaining. So let me know what you think about this format. Do you like it? Do you think it's good? Do you see it being implemented? Is it just too many games? Or does it not need to be changed? Is this format fine as it is? Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.